Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into one of the trickiest, but also one of the most powerful tools in a DM's toolkit, the red herring. You know, when you get it right, it creates this incredible tension, this amazing paranoia that leads to some unforgettable roleplay. But if you get it wrong, well, you can shatter the trust your players have in you. So let's talk about how to get it right.
So, let's just get right to the heart of it with a big question. When you use a red herring, are you actually just lying to your players? I think it's a fear a lot of us have. And honestly, the answer to this question is what separates a truly brilliant mystery from a really frustrating one.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the big trap that so many of us fall into. Then, we'll completely redefine what a red herring should be. After that, we'll get into 3 practical types of misdirection you can use and the rules for playing fair. And we'll wrap it all up with the one golden rule you just can't forget.
Okay, let's start with that trap. Because using red herrings, it's a high-risk, high-reward game. It really is a double-edged sword. And that line between genius and disaster, it's razor thin.
I mean, this is the tightrope we're walking, right? Do it right and your table is buzzing with tension and paranoia, and the roleplay is just amazing. But if you mess it up, it's not just a bad story beat. Your players feel cheated, and that can break the single most important thing in the game, their trust in you as the storyteller.
So, how do we stay on the right side of that line? Well, it all starts with a huge mental shift. We have to completely change the way we think about what a red herring is, because, frankly, what most people think it is wrong.
And here it is. This is the most important thing you're going to hear today. A red herring is not a fake clue. Let me say that again. It is not a fake clue. It is a 100% true piece of information that just so happens to point toward the wrong conclusion. And getting that right, that's everything.
And this is the difference in action. Bad red herrings, they're just meaningless distractions. They have no real connection to anything, and they're just there to waste time. But good red herrings, they are completely logical. They make total sense in your world, and they lead the players to a conclusion that is totally reasonable, even if it's wrong. One feels cheap, and the other feels brilliant.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The goal is never for your players to feel like you, the DM, tricked them. You want them to look back and say, man, the situation totally fooled us. That's the difference between a frustrating puzzle and a living, breathing world.
And a quick word of warning, because this is the biggest mistake I see people make: don't throw in red herrings too early. Before your players even have a grip on what the main mystery is, trying to misdirect them doesn't feel clever, it just feels like you're messing with them. You gotta let them find the path before you start adding confusing forks in the road.
Okay, theory's over. Let's get practical. Let's open up the playbook and look at 3 solid, reliable types of misdirection that you can start using in your very next mystery.
So we're going to break down 3 classics. First, the suspicious but innocent NPC. Second, what I call coincidental evidence. And third, my personal favorite, the partial truth. Each one is a great way to misdirect your players without ever lying to them.
All right, first up, the all-time classic, the suspicious NPC. You've seen this in a million movies and books for a very good reason. It just works.
So this is the character who looks super guilty, right? Maybe they have a motive, but couldn't have possibly done it. Or they had the opportunity, but have a rock-solid alibi. But here's the critical part. They have to be hiding something real. Maybe the shifty bartender is lying, but it's because he's hiding an illegal gambling operation in the back, not because he committed the murder. That way, his suspicious behavior makes perfect sense.
Okay, number 2, coincidental evidence. This is all about those physical clues that seem like they're part of the crime scene, but they're not.
So for example, the players find blood at the scene, but it turns out it's from a clumsy guard who cut his hand on patrol 2 hours earlier. The key rule here, and this is a big one, is that coincidence can be used to create confusion, but it can never be the solution. If the whole mystery gets solved by a 1 in a million coincidence, your players are going to feel robbed.
And now for number 3, which I think is the most elegant and powerful of them all, the partial truth. This is when the clue you give your players is 100% accurate, but it's also dangerously incomplete.
For instance, the players do an autopsy and discover the victim was poisoned. So they spend the whole next session hunting for the poisoner. But what they don't know yet is that while the poison made the victim sick, it wasn't what actually killed them. The beauty of this is that it rewards players for digging deeper. It doesn't punish them for being curious, it encourages it.
So, we've got our types of red herrings. Awesome. But how do we actually use them fairly?
This is all about the subtle art of giving your players little hints, little signals that maybe, just maybe, they don't have the full picture yet. And you can do this in really subtle ways. Maybe two witnesses saw the same event, but their stories don't quite match up. Or the players find a clue that answers one question, but it brings up two brand new ones. Or maybe when they accuse an NPC, the person's reaction just feels off, not what you'd expect. These are those little breadcrumbs that tell your players to keep digging.
This right here, this is the exact feeling you want to create at the table. You want your players to put a theory together and then sit back and say, you know what, this explanation works, but not perfectly. That little bit of doubt, that tiny loose thread, that's what makes a great investigation fun.
And this is super important. A red herring needs to have an expiration date. It cannot be a permanent dead end. If the players follow a lead, it has to lead somewhere, even if it's just to a point where they can definitively prove it was wrong. Nothing will kill the energy of a mystery faster than a clue that goes absolutely nowhere. Okay, we've gone over a ton of stuff. But if you walk away from this explainer with only one thing, please let it be this. This is the golden rule.
Here it is. Red herrings should slow your players down. They should never stop them cold. The whole point is to create interesting debates, fun arguments, and compelling obstacles. It is not to build a brick wall in front of them. That's the test. If your clue brings the entire game to a grinding halt, it's not a good red herring.
So now you've got the tools to misdirect your players in a way that's fair, engaging, and fun. But of course, that just leads to the next big question, doesn't it? Now that you know how to weave this web of confusion, how do you reveal the final truth in a way that makes your players feel like geniuses? We'll tackle that one next time. Thanks for joining me.